Shalom, Yashrala. This your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rukakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of great millstone that taught us this truth and our well. A citation of much love for you, I can pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to jump to this here article real fast, which is a tall tale of, how America pretty much gets down. When you try to explain certain things about, America stealing nations and things like that, people don't quite understand how these things go, whether it be through, regime change, setting up puppets, in the case of recently, you can understand that through Venezuela, all right, how they tried to overthrow Nicolas Maduro and put in their own puppet Juan Guaido, or even with the Ukraine scenario, all right, because, back in the day, a couple years back, not too far back, America pretty much set up one of their puppets there. All right. And as you see what they have going on now, all right, the same scenario is going on. But, they also do this here technique here that we're going to read about that winds up, how do I say, how do I put it? They pretty much guarantees in writing, more or less, to say, because it's you submit somebody to a certain a certain agreement. All right. Now, basically, what you don't understand is America is actually, like we've been saying, hey, man, these are puppets, of America and things like that. They steal these nations. They pretty much put them into a submission or make them capitulate unto them based off of what their wand, their doctrines, their philosophies. All right. So we'll see if you'll be able to catch how they're doing this one here. All right. It says U.S. dust off World War II scheme to arm Ukraine. Now, going back into the World War II situation, I will tell you about how, they have, on a how do I put it, on the open book, they would say, oh, these nations just want to join NATO and everything else like that. They just want to be a part of NATO, whatever. But you have to understand they've got a puppet over there that's following along suit with what America wants going on. All right. And once America brings their military into your nation, that's it. They pretty much run you at that point in time, because they'll make you sign an agreement and say, hey, we'll protect you, but we got to leave a military base here, man. All right. But we'll see how this one here plays out. It says the Senate-led Ukrainian Democracy Defense Lend-Lease Act clears the House, waives restrictions of arm deliveries. All right. The U.S. House of Representatives has approved a bill that will remove several constraints on sending weapons to Ukraine amid the ongoing Russian offensive. Adopted by the Senate earlier this month, the Ukraine Democracy Defense Lend-Lease Act revives the program Washington used to send military equipment to belligerents in World War II while officially staying neutral. All right. Again, that whole puppeteer, situation. If you understand what was going on in World War II, America pretty much stayed out the whole war all the way up until the very end of it. But they were supplying both ends of the fight, man. All right. So, hey, it's an old a mob tactic, man. All right. You go in with the least amount of, let's say, troops. All right, or the least amount of backup. And you got two other bigger players that's fighting against one another. What you do is, or they're not even fighting against one another. What you do is you propagandize both sides to make them start fighting at each other. Oh, but you ain't heard what so-and-so said, do you? And you're like, what? He said, and then you go to the other guy. Oh, so-and-so said you ain't scared. He said he'll punch you right in your face. Now, these two guys are starting to get angry with each other because of the smoke you blowing up both of their asses, man. Then all of a sudden, they come out and start fighting each other. Now they weaken each other up, and then you just come in and sweep up the rest, man. All right, you didn't really have to get your hands dirty, but you wound up taking out, or you've had them take each other out, man. All right, so it says, the final vote on Thursday afternoon was 417-10, with 3 members not voting. All the Democrats voted in favor, while all of the 10 members opposed were Republican. Introduced by Senator John Cornyn, Texas, the bill was passed by the Senate on April 6th, but the Democratic-dominated House adjourned for 2 weeks. Easter recess before taking it up. It authorizes the White House to lend or lease defense article to Ukraine or any Eastern European country impacted by the Russian Federation invasion of Ukraine to help bolster those countries' defense capabilities and protect their civilian populations from potential invasion and ongoing aggression. So, and it's an old mob tactic. You got a little business, right? A business storefront, nobody bothering your business or nothing like that, but the mob want to sit there and tax your ass, man. So how do they do it? They'll walk up to your business and overnight they'll start breaking the windows, breaking into your business establishment and everything else like that, to the point where, you'll have to run to them for what? Protection. And at the end all be all, it's like they paying you for protection to stop the guys from breaking the windows, but it's really you breaking the windows. So what? They just paying you just to, you cause the so-called crime just so that they can pay for the crime to go away. And all you're doing is getting paid just to do nothing at this point in time, man. All right. It says Corin's bill did not create a new program, but rather makes it easier for President Joe Biden to send weapons to Kiev by suspending limitations imposed by the two existing laws, one of which caps the length of aid to 5 years. It says, however, the whole thing is conditioned on Ukraine having to pay for the return and reimbursement and repayment for defense articles loaned or leased to it. Now, you have to understand this is where the trick comes into play because, big bank take little bank. All right. So if America can sit here and just keep sending the Ukraine more and more weapons, all right, just run up the bill with it because, look, America's winning on both sides. Who's developing the weapons that America's sending over there? American companies, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Gorman, and what's it called? I can't even think of the name of the other company, but you got these other companies like General Electric and things like that that's creating these damn weapons that, every time they drop a bomb over there, Lockheed Martin stock is going up. You know what I'm saying? People getting paid every time they drop bombs. This is why America's stay in business creating bombs. They need to use these shits because they get paid off of these things, man. This is part of Esau's blessing, having a sword. If you look on the world stage, really only two nations pretty much is the only ones that's developing weapons. You got America and Russia, all right? But nevertheless, you have this here scenario where America has a unlimited supply. Let's just say you playing Monopoly and you the banker. You got an unlimited supply of money that you can keep loaning out to these players, but in the loan, there's collateral they have to pay back. Where when the player's like, well, you can keep rolling the dice and keep going around past go to collect your $200. But what is this $200 when you $10 million in a debt? You might as well go ahead and leverage over that there Park Place and Boardwalk at this point in time, man. All right, because every time you land anywhere, I own the whole board, so every time you land anywhere, you're gonna owe me money. You don't have enough money to pay me back. I done gave you all these loans, so you got to pay the interest back on these things, right? We'll see how it ends off in this here article. It says Ukraine having to pay for the return and the reimbursement of payments for defense articles loaned or leased to it. Kiev's ability to make such payments is questionable since the Ukrainian government is currently asking the U.S. and the EU for $7 billion per month to keep the paying salaries and pensions. All right. And so, hey, how much money is Ukraine bringing in with their GDP? It's going to get to a point where America's just like, yeah, we'll give you the loan. We're going to pay you way more money than what the hell your whole GDP is. And after the whole conflict is over with, because all this is doing is stalling out the war with Russia. But it's going to come to a point in time. It's like, look, we didn't gave you, more money than what you can pay back. It doesn't look like you're going to win against Russia. What we're going to have to do now is, since y'all didn't want to quote unquote join Ukraine, or it was a problem with join NATO, there was such a problem with Russia and everything else like that. Well, how about this? Y'all owe us this here money, and now we're going to just have to put a permanent military base over there now, right? It says the Lend-Lease bill is separate from the ongoing U.S. effort to send Kiev weapons from the Pentagon stockpiles. Biden has already blown through $3.5 billion authorized by Congress for the purpose and is seeking more funding. However, it risks being held up, and the Democrat insists on bundling it with his other funding plan. The Republicans have warned that they would only support a standalone bill. We don't have the mechanism yet, the White House press Secretary Jen Psaki told reporters on Tuesday. Now listen to this part. It says, the original Lend-Lease was enacted by President Delano Roosevelt on March 1941, 9 months before the U.S. entered World War II, and amounted to $50.1 billion or $980 billion in 2022. All right, now think about these other nations that are part of NATO at this point in time, right? It says by September 1945, when the program ended, most of the weapons and equipment went to the UK, $31.4 billion, and $11.3 billion shares going to the Soviet Union, and another $7.4 billion to other countries. In theory, the aid was supposed to be repaid or returned. So see, you just pay us back the money, but that's not what America wants. It says, but the U.S. accepted the lease of military bases abroad instead. So, hey, they get to print up the money out of nowhere, out of thin air, but they don't give a damn about the money being paid back because, wow, they're going to ultimately just be like, well, look, we're going to just put a permanent military base over there. Once we get the permanent military base over there, what's stopping America from just waging war? That's what they want. They want that global position around Russia, man. All right. They want to be able to encompass them round about. So it's the same outcome. It don't matter how they get to it. It's like, well, we would, America would say that Ukraine wants to join NATO. Well, Russia blocks that. And like, well, if y'all do that, then we're going to have World War III. All right, well, we'll back off. We'll back off. Or we'll just send in, make a war between Ukraine and Russia, and then see if these international or these other countries will actually stand up and, go in in over there. But now everybody on the international scale is like, nah, we don't want nothing to do with that, man. Everybody's backing off. So America's alone on that. It's like, all right, so what we'll do is we'll just fund them into oblivion to where they can't pay us back. Then in order to pay us back, they'd be like, yo, y'all owe us, man. So now, we're going to have to put some military bases over here. Now we can go ahead and do that walk that we want to go and do, man. All right. I wanted to read this real quick. Isaiah 14:9, it says, hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. All right, and that's how it is when America started approaching your ass, man. It says it has raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. So this is one of the things that Esau uses as far as stealing nations, with regime change. One way or the other, they wanted to getting their people in place over there so they can make these decisions and everything else like that, man. All right, this is not nothing new that Esau's been doing, man. The same old tactics, man. And we can see it's even clear as day as you can see these failed attempts over here, man. Like I said, you can go into Venezuela and look at the blatant overthrow of the so-called elections where they elected Nicolas Maduro. First of all, they had a fake elections over there with an American puppet over there, Juan Guaido, which Nicolas Maduro won by a landslide. But if you didn't know no better, you know what I'm saying, you was just watching the American media said that Juan Guaido wound up winning the elections, but he didn't win the elections. Then what did America wind up doing? They tried to go and assassinate Nicolas Maduro. All right, then that didn't work out. And then, Russia started holding them down and holding them back. And then what did they wind up doing? Putting sanctions on the state-run gas companies so that they couldn't feed their civilization, the civilians there and everything else like that. And then all of a sudden they try to paint him out as a bad dictator, killing off all their people, trying to win a little war against them and everything else like that. But guess what? They still holding in there strong, man. All right. But that's one way America tries to overthrow governments and steal lands. Now look at what's going on in the Ukraine, man. All right. They tried to go over there for one, setting up NATO over there and everything else like that. But then look, Russia had, put a firm foot down on that foothold, but then now all they're saying is, look, well, since there's a war going on over there and, you don't have a formidable military to fight against this huge Russia. All right. That's just like Cuba trying to fight up against America, man. They're like, bruh, if you don't sit your little bitty ass down, but you see what's going on. America's like, well, look, we won't send no troops over there because if we do, that's going to be blatant of World War III. And we don't want to look like the aggressors. But what we will do is we'll sit there and just fund you into oblivion till you can't pay us back no more. Too. It's like, it's like taking somebody that make $20,000 a year working at McDonald's and giving them a $150 million loan. Of course, they ain't going to never be able to pay this shit back. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, since you can't pay this back at this year, we're going to start garnishing your wages. We're going to just start taking certain things. You know what? You're going to have to file for bankruptcy. You're going to have to liquidate all your assets. And now we own your house. Now we own your car. Now we own this. Now we own that. All right. And that's what you have going on over here with, America trying to swindle their way up into Ukraine. But let me read this here in Habakkuk 2:5, because, this also goes into the nature of Esau when it comes to stealing these nations, man. It says, yea, also because he transgresses by wine. All right. So going into his philosophies, like we was just reading about, what we on a, to the layman's terms, somebody just looking from the outward in is like, well, Ukraine got invaded by Russia because the Russians are just some the bad guy. So Russia invaded Ukraine, and we got to support Ukraine. We can't just have these people getting killed off over there. It's unfair how big Russia is. Like, well, what you don't realize is America hijacked Ukraine, put their own puppet up over there. But then it's kind of hard because Vladimir Putin is exposing them. That's what the whole, we want to denazify, or the denazification or the Western backing sides of these things going on. That's what they're talking about. They want to get the American or the Western the Western pull or the Western influence up out of Ukraine, man. They want to get those folks up out of there. But then what? America's got them saying, look, we want to join NATO. Russia said that's a red flag. Y'all can't do that. So they started mounting up troops and sending weapons over there. And so what did Russia do? They defended themselves, man. All right. But then when you have the regular people that's looking at this thing, looking at the big bad wolf Russia invading Ukraine. So what do we have to do? We have to support Ukraine. We have to send weapons over there. So now, okay, what do you see your Lord and your Savior Joe Biden and this American government doing? Now we sending aid over there. Now we sending aid to help these people out, help these vulnerable people out. But at what cost is it? They ain't gonna be able to repay none of this stuff. So guess what? At the end all be all, they're gonna have to liquidate their whole country and then just hand it on over to America. You give us a military base over there. We'll protect you. You ain't gotta pay us back. No, nothing like that. But now you have this military base that's on their property. All right. You think that the leaders of the Ukraine is gonna ever try to tell them no about anything at that point in time? Like, bro, we don't even have to invade you. We already right here, bro. We just look, we right here. And if we want to, we could start a war on your whole country front and we could blame it on you. You know what I'm saying? We can go over here and launch any kind of offensive onto a whole other country and just make it seem like you did the attack. And then they're going to come and get your ass. And what you going to do without our protection anyway? All right. So it says, yea, also because he transgresses by wand. All right. So to give you that in another example, look at South Korea. Now, if South Korea don't do what America say they're going to do, what do you think is going to happen? Who became their enemies now because they have accepted an American military base over there? Now they got threats from North Korea, which is nuclear powered. All right, they got nukes over there in North Korea. South Korea don't got nukes, right? And China, who's on the other side of them, this is a way bigger superpower than North Korea and South Korea put together, man. So if South Korea ever tells America no, even if America tell South Korea to go jump off a damn cliff, South Korea got to go jump off a damn cliff. If they say no, then they can be like, all right, well, we'll just sit here and strike North Korea and let the North Koreans come and take y'all ass out, and we'll just act like we didn't see nothing at it. And guess what? The blame ain't going to be on us. It's going to be on them. We just walk away. So you might as well do what we say do, or else, you're going to know what's going to happen. All right. It says, yea, also because he transgressed by wand, he's a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and his death cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. And as you can see, this is what he's over there doing. But he's not doing it in a way of, hey, nigga, we want to steal your shit. No, they're like, look, man, it's sad what's going on over here in Ukraine. We got to band together and send weapons over there. We got to send aid to the Ukraine. We got to send some kind of support to the Ukraine. We got to help these people out. We can't just, in the modern day time, let a big bad wolf like Russia just dominate this little country. We have to help. But what are they really trying to help them out? Or do they really have, I'm gonna close out that precept. But do they really have this in the back of their mind? Or are they really trying to take them over? Let's continue on. It says, shall not all these take up a parable against him, a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, and how long to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. America already in damn near debt right about now, man. We're heavy debt right about now. But guess what they doing? They like, no, well, and the crazy part about it is you got these Americans over here struggling to make ends meet here, and guess what? America printing up more and more money to send to other nations into some shit that America started, man. How many of these different nations are taking welfare from America? All right, but then they sit here and look at you some type of way because you need a handout, or you need some type of stimulus check. You need some kind of, debt relief or something else going on. You can't even help out the student loan debt over here in America, but you can send billions of dollars to the Ukraine over some shit that you started just so you can. I mean, it makes sense. You want the resources, but at the end all be all, like, you just threw your own people under the bus for this. But this is why, hey, you can't trust this damn devil, man. All right. It says, shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booty unto them, because thou hast spoiled many nations. Hey, and the reason that they're going to eventually rise up against them and spoil America is because all these nations are going to sober up one day. They've been drinking this Babylonian juice, thinking that it's a good deal. But look at nations like Saudi Arabia right now that's been drunk off that American Babylonian juice when it comes to that petrodollar and all the money they was able to make. But now they like shutting America off and looking towards other nations like Russia, man. All right. But guess what? They starting to wake up. It's like, you know what? We've actually been being held down the whole time dealing with them. We could actually prosper more if we just cut them off, man. All right. So now this is what you're starting to see. The turn of these other nations are starting to look at America like that, man. All right. It says, because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee because of men's blood and for the violence of the land and of the city and all that dwell therein. All right. So, hey, these nations are about to get ready to spoil America because they're going to wake up and see what has happened, man. All right. You think that these nations don't realize it's like, man, we took some help from America. First of all, like, look at the Ukraine, the whole scenario. If we wouldn't have been listening to America hype us up, selling us these wolf tickets, we wouldn't even be in this here situation with Russia, man. They said that they had our back, our whole back and everything else like that. They would say, we're going to defend every inch of NATO. Well, we ain't a part of NATO. All right. And then they said that they was going to be there through thick and thin, through everything else. Now we got into this conflict with Russia. They ain't sent not one troop over here to help us out, man. They ain't sent not one a warplane over here. They ain't sent not one missile defense system over here to help us out like this and create a no-fly zone, man. But they going to just keep sending us weapons. All right, that's cool. But then eventually what? They want us to pay them back by giving them a military base over here? Nah, man. You gave them a little bit. Now they're going to take the rest. Let me see if I can find this other precept. I forgot. Yeah, here we go. Psalms 55 and 21. We'll close out here. Psalms 55 and 21. It says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. The words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. So, hey, when it goes to these other nations, oh, we want to help y'all, we want to do this, we want to do that. Hey, they want to so-called send all this here aid, but at the end all be it's just like the housing market crisis that happened in 2008. Yeah, we want to get you in your first home and everything else like that. And all these people who couldn't afford all these things, they made it all look good on paper, but then what? They raised the interest rate and they took the crumbs that you already had, man. You didn't even have a full piece of bread to begin with, but guess what? They took all the little bit of crumbs that you had and put you and left you in debt, man. Same thing is going on over here with Ukraine and these other nations. They'll sit there and send you all this military aid and send you all their old weapons and everything else like that, make you pay for what? What are they really doing? They're really just buying off your land and your politicians and a permanent military base in your country, man. All right, for what? To wage war right there. And you can be the one that's taking the blowback for it, man. You're going to be right there. And it's like if I go and rob a bank and I borrow your car with it, man, and now I'm on camera and they got the license plate and everything else like that, who the police finna come and see? They finna come see you because they got your license plate on the camera, not my license plate. So you didn't, you know what I'm saying, put yourself in danger by allowing these people up onto your borders, man. All right, but nevertheless, hey, this is how Esau gets down, man. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close out with that. Lord willing, the elect was edified with this here lesson. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of great millstone that taught us his truth and never will. And salutation and much love for you, Akim, pushing his truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Till next time, I say, stay strong. Shalom.